So, what is bilingual education? Bilingual education refers to the utilization of two languages as means of instruction for students and is considered part of the entire school curriculum, as distinct from simply teaching a second language as a subject. So, this time, what is bilingual education policy? Bilingual education policy is the attempt to strategically employ two or more languages in instruction for either the purpose of linguistic accommodation for students who do not speak the language of instruction or to promote the learning of more than one language to achieve individual, community, based on societal or political goals. So here is the existing bilingual education policies in the Philippines, which is the 1987 policy on bilingual education. So the provision of Article 14, Section 7 of the 1987 Constitution states, for purposes of communication and instruction, the official languages of the Philippines are Filipino and until otherwise provided by law, English. The regional languages are the auxiliary official languages in the regions and shall serve as auxiliary media of instruction therein. So the second 1987 policy on bilingual education is in consonance with this mandate the declared policy of the Department of Education and Culture on bilingualism in the schools. The Department of Education, Culture, and Sports hereby promulgate the following policy. 1. The policy on bilingual education aims at the achievement of competence in both Filipino and English at the national level through the teaching of both languages and their use as media of instruction at all levels. The regional languages shall be used as auxiliary languages in grades 1 and 2, and the aspiration of the Filipino to enable them to perform their functions and duties as Filipino citizens and in English in order to meet the needs of the country in the community of nations. And number 2 are the goals of the bilingual education policy. Number 3, Filipino and English shall be used as media of instruction, and the use allocated to specific subjects in the curriculum as indicated in Department Order Number 25 Series of 1974. Number 4 is the regional languages shall be used as auxiliary media of instruction and as initial language for literacy when needed. Number 5, Filipino and English shall be taught as language subjects in all levels to achieve the goals of bilingual competence. Number 6, since competence in the use of both Filipino and English is one of the goals of bilingual education policy, continuing improvement in the teaching of both languages, their use as media of instruction, and the specification shall be the responsibility of the whole educational system. Number 7, tertiary level institutions shall lead in the continuing intellectualization of Filipino. The program of intellectualization, however, shall also be pursued in both the elementary and secondary levels. Number 8, the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports shall cooperate with the National Language Commission, which, according to the 1987 Constitution, shall be tasked with the further development and enrichment of Filipino. So the ninth mandate is the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports shall provide the means by which the language policy can be implemented with the cooperation of government and non-government organizations. And lastly, the department shall program funds for implementing the policy in such areas as materials production, in-service training, compensatory and enrichment programs for non-Tagalogs, development of a suitable and standardized Filipino for classroom use, and the development of appropriate evaluative instruments. The third 1987 bilingual education policy is that this order supersedes previous orders on the bilingual education policy that are inconsistent with it. And lastly is this order shall take effect immediately. So the goals of bilingual education policies are the following. 1. It enhanced learning through two languages to achieve quality education as called for by the 1987 Constitution. 2. The propagation of Filipino as language of literacy. 3. The development of Filipino as linguistic symbol of national unity and identity. 4. The cultivation and elaboration of Filipino as language of scholarly discourse, that is to say, its continuing intellectualization. And number 5, the maintenance of English as an international language for the Philippines as a non-exclusive language of science and technology. The language policy of the Commission on Higher Education. Its coverage shall be both public and private institutions of higher education, as well as degree granting programs in all post-secondary educational institutions, public and private. One of the first steps undertaken by CHED was to update the general education curriculum of tertiary courses leading to an initial bachelor's degree covering 4 curriculum years. This was done to make the curriculum more responsive to the demands of the next millennium. So here are the pros of bilingual education policy. Learning a second language becomes easier. It promotes diversity at an early stage. It creates better prospects. Learning a second language makes it easier to learn more languages. Working memory is also enhanced. It also makes the learners wiser. It is a beneficial form of extracurricular activity, and it has multiple benefits for personality development. When there is pros, there are also cons of bilingual education policy, and these are the following cons. Education in foreign language can be inconsistent. Learning course contents can be very hard. Bilingual schooling is expensive. It prevents involvement in native culture, and it can shift focus. There can also be lack of certified teachers and assistants, and lastly, it is often stigmatized. And there are a lot more cons and pros of bilingual education policies, and these are just some of them. And there are also challenges faced by teachers, students, parents, and other stakeholders in the implementation of or development of BEP, or bilingual education policy. One is the lack of language development opportunity, limited use of the native language. Another one is a premature transition to English, inadequacies of instructional materials, lack of bilingual teacher training.